everyone, I'm Gweakles, and welcome to my very first Inktober tour share. I figured since this year I was unable to make a video and show you the process of each one of my Inktober pieces, that I at least wanted to do sort of like a sketchbook share, but show you all of my ink drawings that I made because I managed to complete the entire challenge. And because I was busy with this, I didn't get to go into my sketchbook, so this is more or less my sketchbook share for this month. Not that I do the monthly, but wow, this would have filled up a sketchbook. Anyways, I am so proud of myself, and even if you completed any amount of time or days into the challenge, you should be proud of yourself too. Okay, so for day one, you guys know that I did Skelly Dude, and I am so proud of him. Obviously it was day one, it was a Saturday, so I was able to really go ham on this piece and use those Liquitex Aquash inks that are amazing. If you guys don't know them, or you haven't tried them, or you've considered trying using them, I really suggest it. They're perfect, and if you are used to painting with watercolors or acrylics, they're a nice medium for you, and I'm really proud of this and the evolution of Skelly Dude and what he's become. Day two, you guys also know that I did Edwyn, the rockabilly zombie. I don't know if I'm going to do any more like actual illustrative pieces with him. I really have been wanting to start getting into making my own characters other than like Skelly Dude, but actual like people characters, not just critter characters. But he was a really fun concept, and if I get the inclination to make any more illustrations with him, I will. And thank you guys so much for helping me come up with a name for him. For night three, I did a mermaid and her jolly sailor bold. I was listening to Halloween songs, and that song from the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, I believe it was the third one or the fourth one, where they have the mermaids and she sings that song before she kisses him and drags him down to his death. But I just love that whole idea, and I thought it was incredibly spooky. And for what I wanted to do, you'll see this is the biggest piece that I did for Inktober, and in the beginning I did everything on watercolor paper, and then I realized that it sucked my ink up really quickly. So I believe after this piece I did move to Bristol, and I moved smaller to make life incredibly easier for me, and so I wouldn't have to worry about covering space and it sucking up so much ink. But I had a whole lot of fun with this illustration and composition, and obviously I had a lot of time that night. For the fourth night, everybody had been drawing such amazing witches, and I wanted to make a witch of my own, and she was not happy. I think I was a little grr that night too, but just a quick line art, and I love really big witch hats and the double bun and her seance and just her little angriness. And I wish I looked that cute. I want to try that double bun look off. For the fourth night, I did my boy Jack. Nightmare Before Christmas is my favorite. Again, I was struggling some nights. I didn't have a whole lot of time, and I was running out of time, and I was like, oh, I gotta make this smaller, and I just would always go back to my roots of what really made me happy. And this is one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Used the Copic marker for the first time for the moon, and I just loved it. Actually, I believe this is also in watercolor paper, which sucked up all that Copic marker, so I know better now to use Bristol, but I'm really loving him, and he's definitely one of my favorite pieces of Inktober. For the fifth night, I did a Lady Grim Reaper, and I really love her as well. And she was just a little idea that I had. Well, I mean, it's not like it's anything like so out of the box, the Lady Grim Reaper, but I just wanted to like draw sort of like a badass lady demon monster, and I just wanted to make her with her hood and her sheath, and she's one of my favorites that I managed to make too. And she's also on Bristol paper, and she's used with ink and ink washes and the Pentel Aquash brush pen, and I had a lot of fun making her as well. And I might turn her into a character perhaps in the same universe as Cat the Bat. I also did Thorn from Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that movie. If you haven't and you enjoy Scooby-Doo and old cartoons, then you would definitely enjoy it. The music's awesome. Their original designs, I know they went back and redid the Hex Girls for Scooby-Doo. but the old designs rock and the music rocks, and it's just so fun. And I had to draw Thorn in a badass pose with her super cool guitar. And of course you guys saw this process piece for the corpse bride of her saying hopscotch, and this I think is my favorite piece of Inktober. I was feeling pretty bad that night and really struggling, and I strove through it, and for whatever reason that scene resonated with me, and I really got into what I wanted to do with the lines and the details and just enjoy drawing the piece itself. And I think it just made me happy, and I think this is the direction that I want to take my art as far as style and work towards, and just really learned through this piece, and that's what makes me most happy about her. You also saw my process for Funtime Foxy for Five Nights at Freddy's Sister Location. I think this is one of the first pieces where I used more Copics, as I used a Pentel ink brush pen to ink her, but I used Copics to color most of her anyway. But I had a whole lot of fun like drawing her mechanical side and just really with the details, and really spent a lot of time on this, probably more. There are some that I spend way too much time on than I probably should have, but I had a whole lot of fun with her, and I really love Foxy, so I hope you guys liked her too. This piece I did of Sally. I had to do Sally. Sally's my gal. I didn't have a whole lot of time this night. I would have loved to do more. I would have loved to add color and ink to her, but unfortunately, you know, every night, that's one of the struggles with Inktober, is with your day-to-day and your schedule and how life gets to you. I didn't have time to put all the time and love that I wanted to her, but I still think that this is a neat composition with her hair, and I just always enjoy drawing Sally, and the point is to make a drawing anyways, so I'm still pretty happy with her. This is Cat the Bat, or more, you know, this is like a more, I guess you would say, modern version of Cat the Bat, or just like an alternative version. I was just trying to play around with her style a little. I haven't really fully developed the character into anything more than a bat monster girl, and I am going to start putting time into doing more with her and taking her somewhere and developing her as an illustrator, and I'm really excited about that, but I had a lot of fun making her. Of course, my girl, my queen, Michonne. One of these days I really want to do a badass illustration for Michonne, but this is another night where I was pressed for time, and I was like, crap, I have to go to bed in like 30 minutes, but I still think she came out nice in my style, and it was cool to like play around with my style and like with the little edge. I would have loved to do something way more badass, try and come up with some other pose for her that hasn't been overly done, but I'm glad I was able to at least include Michonne in this, and I will do a badass Michonne piece someday. I will, I promise, I must. This is Fishy Bones, and I don't know if many of you may know this, but she's an old piece of mine, and she was actually the banner of my Tampa Bay Comic-Con banner for my illustrations, and she was on my business cards for a really long time, but she's an old piece. If you go back into my gallery, and I kind of, like I did with a lot of things, I've redrawn a lot of old illustrations to see how far I've come and sort of like redraw her. And even though I redrew her and like kind of cleaned her up a little bit and experimented with the design, and I really like this, and obviously you can see once again I used the Copics and had tons of fun, and I'm just loving it and really enjoying trying this new medium. I actually like my old illustration better because I don't know what happened, but you know, but she's, I guess you could say she's a character of mine. I don't have a name for her other than Fishy Bones, but I really like that she's just a little undead mermaid, and she's just so happy, and she was a whole lot of fun. This next piece is so tiny, but again, I was pressed for time this night, and I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do. So every time I don't know what to do, I'm like, I'm gonna go do a Tim Burton movie, and I love Edward Scissorhands and his sad little face sad little Eddie, but as you can see, I still put so much time into it, even though it was really small. So if you're having a hard time and you do want to draw something and you're pressed for time, but you still want to do something, I really suggest maybe going small, whether it be with thumbnails or even practicing figure drawing, because it may save you and you can say, hey, I still did it. It's tiny, but it's so fun, and I'm actually really proud of this. The next night, I had a little more time, so I went a little bigger and a little more experimental, but I did Heath Ledger's Joker from The Dark Knight because he is my favorite. A lot of people have been requesting Harley Quinn and Joker stuff, and I haven't really been wanting to draw that because, unpopular opinion, I did not care for the Suicide Squad versions of the characters, but I do absolutely love these characters in DC. I don't hate them, but they're not my favorite. But I just wanted to experiment. I always am continuing to try to experiment with style, and portraits, like side portraits, are really hard. But I like how I got with this and how messy, and once again, everything is made with ink. It might look like it's watercolor, but it's just washed down, messy ink. I have ink in different colors, and I had a whole lot of fun with him and experimenting. And I had to, of course, do Wednesday Addams. I think she's pretty much a Halloween staple for just about everybody, but I had to draw her with a weapon, and I liked making some splatters behind her and just her just dead set, not having it face, but she, of course, was a whole lot of fun to make. I think I could have done a better job with her, but to see how she's evolved, I've drawn her before, so not only is she a staple for Inktober or Halloween subject, but I liked seeing how I've progressed definitely between this year and last year. And once again, I drew something that I had drawn before, and actually drew a couple times, picking the same subject not only for the theme of Halloween, but to just see how I progressed is just absolutely incredibly rewarding, and actually makes the drawing much more fun. But love Beetlejuice, love him, he's awful, but I absolutely love him, and I had so much fun making this piece. I had a little bit more time, and a couple of days out of the week I would actually cut out my paper, take it to work with me, and then on lunch break hurry up and like gobble down my lunch so I could get at least a sketch in, so by the end of the day I could spend more time refining it and putting in ink work, and I was able to get away with that a couple times. So if you guys want some like tips for like getting work done, if you have a full-time job, or things for Inktober, if you have the time to do that, that really helped me when I was able to actually do it. Another piece, I did DrHorrible. I actually, one of my coworkers, what was it? I've just been trying to find like different soundtracks and things to listen to while working, and eventually you end up listening to everything, and this is of course an old favorite. I absolutely love DrHorrible. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you watch it. I'm pretty sure it's still free online, but I was telling my coworker to watch it, so I had to draw him. And I've drawn him before, and I had a whole lot of fun stylizing him, especially with his hair and his goggles, and just working with the line weight here. Again, I learned so much through just the drawing process of this Inktober, and comparing it to my older stuff I think has been incredibly rewarding. Anytime I didn't feel good about myself during Inktober was when I was comparing myself to other artists, which is common sense. We know that. That's a big no-no. Compare yourself to past work, looking at old pieces and trying it again, and playing with your drawing and your lines and experimenting and how you approach things. You're going to be so much more happier, and I had a whole lot of fun with him. And then here's my girl Gamora. Of course, we got that sneak peek of the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie. In case you guys don't know, Guardians of the Galaxy is my favorite Marvel movie. Yes, even more than Avengers. As soon as that first movie came out, I was like, yeah, I love the Avengers, but I love these guys too, and I'm so excited for this movie. So, how to draw my bae. She, of course, I had a couple, this is an ink wash, and then I had a couple different ink pens, but I had a whole lot of fun like experimenting with the different mediums for her, and her pose. I've been also trying to like figure out different posings and just use Inktober really to my benefit, and try different poses, try different everything. Of course, had to draw a rocket and little baby Groot. I love that he's just been behind, like on everyone's shoulder, or like behind Peter's boot, or just he's kind of there like enjoying life. Not really, everybody looks like they're in peril and all the concept art, so I'm sure everybody's excited to see what happens with baby Groot. I'm so excited for this movie, period. So, and then of course I had to draw my boy PQ, Peter Quill. I actually really liked the sketch of this, way better than the lines, but I spent way too much time on him because I'm in love, so I need help. But I do eventually want to do a really awesome piece of Peter Quill because he's one of my favorite characters, and I don't know if you've seen, but like next to my desk I have Babs Tarr's variant cover for Peter Quill, so I was like, oh, I must. So inspiring, so much fun. Then you guys saw the process for this piece, this inkling from Splatoon, when I was playing Splatoon that one weekend, and I was like, oh my gosh, gotta draw an inkling. Use Copics for the colors again. She was super fun. I had fun with the styling and the posing, and just I felt like I was able to be really loose with this piece, so I just really dug that. And then after having that really nice stride, I had a really rough night. I had a rough week. I've had a rough past 2 weeks. About halfway through October, I've been really riddled with anxiety, and I don't want to get into it or ruin anything, but I have a panic disorder, and I've always had anxiety, but my previous coping mechanisms have not been working for me, so it's really gotten in the way of my day-to-day, and it's been stressing me out, and I've been working my way through that. So again, don't worry, but that reflected here in my art for this piece. Didn't really want to draw, didn't feel good, let it all out, and I really dig Rob Zombie's title of that one song that he has, Living Dead Girl. I think it's so hot and awesome, and even though she feels bad because she can't breathe, and that's just what you feel like when you have panic and anxiety, or to what I feel like. I wanted to express that, and I had a lot of fun making it, even though it was expressing something that didn't feel so good. Another night, I wanted to go back to a comfort for me, and as you guys know, that is unicorns. And I realized I'd never drawn anything for The Last Unicorn, and I've actually only seen The Last Unicorn, I believe, once. And I thought it was silly, of course, because I saw it later. I didn't see it like early while I was younger to get the young youthful thing. But I'll go back and rewatch it, and the style is beautiful, and I've got to get my hands on the graphic novel, of course. But and I used the Copics to color her in, and I actually used some microns to line her. So I tried to adjust my tools and my approach, and I had a whole lot of fun making her. And I actually really love the style of how they draw her as a unicorn. She's actually one of my biggest inspirations for the styling for drawing unicorns, and I love her a whole lot. This is another night where I didn't have a whole lot of time. Actually, my friend Jenna Fo, you might know her on here or on Instagram or on the internet world as Jenna Fo or Jenna Fo Tran. She does amazing clay and custom toy pieces, but she's one of my very best friends. I've known her for a very long time. She got engaged, and they had their surprise. Her now fiance, had us all hide at their place, and they had a big shindig. So by the time I got home, it was literally an hour before I had to go to bed, and I had work the next morning, and I was like, critter. But I absolutely love bats. I actually drew this guy a long time ago, so he was revisited. He's a really old sketch that I never colored, that I meant to go to a sticker, but I actually really like him for how quick that I had to draw him with the microns and then add the colors with the Copics. But just like the character and the texture that I got with the lines is another thing that I was able to appreciate. So even something that's small or something done in quick, you can find like, hey, I really like how I did this and how I approached this. So you never know what you're gonna get with different emotions, different times, different states of mind while you're trying to make your pieces. And I had to do David S. Pumpkins. Any questions? I spent more time on this jacket than I did anything else, and his hands, and I'm really happy with those. And I have to sneeze. I'm so sorry. If you have not seen the SNL skit, The Haunted Elevator, go on YouTube, do it right now, do it with David S. Pumpkins, and it's one of the best things I've ever seen in a long time. But I had a lot of fun with that and the Copics, and I don't think it's the best Inktober that I've drawn, but I needed something silly that day to draw, and so I went with it and had a lot of fun. Another night I was experimenting. I used one of the colored Pentel brush pens. I think it's just a colored Pentel brush pen and it's purple, but I realized that I hadn't lined with one like a whole piece yet, and I wanted to draw like a monster, of course, so I just went really generic and drew a demon babe. But I actually really like how the flow of her lines came out and her face, and just again experimenting, not thinking too much into it, just going in and pulling out, hey, I like this, hey, I don't like this, but I had a lot of fun with it, learning things. I again wanted to go with a monster, and I love drawing animals and monsters and critters and beings, and I realized, oh, I hadn't drawn a werewolf, so I experimented with the Copics here and blending them and doing layers and reflective stuff, and I actually didn't expect this piece to come out the way it did, but I'm really happy with it, and I had a whole lot of fun making it. Another night I was short for time and really tired, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm running out of things that I think that I could draw. I want to draw monsters, I want to draw scary, I want to stay with Halloween, but I want to be incredibly simple. And then I was like, oh, what can I do, what can I do? I believe it was the night before Halloween Horror Nights. I'm like, oh, Dragon Ball Z, childhood favorite love. I believe I saw a pixel Goku art on Tumblr, so I drew him, and he actually came out really nice, and he was a lot of fun, nice and loose and sketchy. Used a different pen and ink for him, and he was a whole lot of fun. And then I went to Halloween Horror Nights, so I didn't have a whole lot of time, and I had a panic attack at Halloween Horror Nights, and it was awful, and I'm pretty sure I ruined Halloween for my best friend and a lot of anybody else who was walking around, and it was a pretty traumatic weekend. So I ended Inktober with Pokemon's. Pokemon Go did, they did an update where you could catch a bunch of Ghastlies and a bunch of Cubones, and I of course took advantage of that. Haunter's my favorite, so I drew him. Again, I used alternative inks, the Copics, along with a Pentel brush pen, and I had a lot of fun with him and the textures and lines and how that came out. And then last but not least, I drew Cubone. He is one of my favorite Pokemon. Even though he's sad, it's a really tragic thing, but it's a lot of thought put into the backstory of a Pokemon, and I just love the style and aesthetic of the whole thing, while at the same time he kind of was reflecting my emotions at the time. But he's very cute, and I had a whole lot of fun, and I really dig the style that came out of it. But yeah, so that's it, guys. I completed Inktober. I did all of it. I'm so proud of myself. I hope you guys enjoyed looking at my pieces and my journey, and I hope that this was able to inspire you in some way, or help. And if you guys like this video, give it a big thumbs up. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And my camera totally went out on me at this part, guys. I am so sorry, but I wanted to say that if anyone was interested in owning any of my Inktober pieces, that they are all up for sale in my art shop. Put a link in the description down below. I want you guys to have these pieces. I don't want them to sit around. I want to share my art and share it with you. So if you're interested, click the link down below. I hope you guys have an amazing week. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.